Welcome. I don't know what just happened. Unfortunately, this is never the way I want to start off a stream. But futures, I don't know if news came out or what the deal was. But typically a move like this does not happen so quickly without news overnight. You know, typically when futures are down a lot overnight, it'll be like a very slow, it'll move down. Typically futures don't have like a quick flash crash. I'm not going to say it didn't crash, right? I'm not trying to freak anybody out. Futures typically don't move down 1% in like 15 minutes. That doesn't happen overnight on futures most of the time. I don't know what just happened. I'm going to go look if there's any news, but I think something might have happened. The NASDAQ and the S&P futures were down like 0.15%. And then literally right when I was going, like 5 minutes ago, you had a 1% red candle. Let's see how much it dropped. In 5 minutes, NASDAQ futures dropped almost 1%. I don't know what happened, but that's not good. I mean, after a very red day in the market where the S&P was down 1%, the Russell and the NASDAQ were down 2.5%. Now we're down another percent in futures. We have recovered quite a bit from the lows, like literally 3 minutes ago. But what is happening? Futures are so volatile right now. Like, you see how you were just going little by little, and then boom, like within 10-15 minutes, futures. Let me see if any news has just come out, but I know we don't start off the streams like this typically, but this is just very weird. I don't know what's going on right now. If anybody in the chat knows, let me know. But Japan had a bad open, maybe? Is that what you're saying? Why? Cuz Japan, I think Japan is, yeah. Is it this Japan? Japan's Nikkei, Nikkei, however you pronounce it, I'm not too sure, falls 2.2% after US stocks decline. So we're falling because, what is going on? We just dropped another 0.5%. This is not normal for the people watching the stream. I mean, welcome to the stream, everybody. We're going to talk about everything that we usually do. It was a very eventful day. Most stocks were down apart from industrials and financials, but even the Dow ended up closing red. Even though it was up like really well in the morning, it pulled all the way back. And industrials had a good morning, financials had a good morning, but in the afternoon, everything was just dropping. Stocks, metals, cryptos, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, pretty, like even the dollar was, I don't even know what happened. There was a really bad jobs report on Friday, but we had a pretty good day on Friday in the market. So I'm not too sure. The VIX is back over 19.7. Typically, whenever you get above 19.7 on the VIX is when the market gets very, very hectic. As you can see, it used to be your support for a very long time, and you finally fell under it. And the S&P and the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones were all running to all-time highs. And when you were falling down here, but now the VIX, the volatility index, is back up again. The dollar is starting to move up a little bit, even though it had a red day. Like, everything was red today. Even the 10-year yields fell down. Like, typically not every single thing is red. Not cryptos, stocks, metals, the dollar, and the 10-year yield are all red in one day. Typically, the money flow goes to somewhere. But it just doesn't make sense that everything was red. I don't remember the last time that's happened. Because a lot of the times when stocks and cryptos are down, the dollar and the 10-year yields will be going up. But that didn't happen today. They kind of were flat/red. So very strange. Let's look back at futures. Kind of starting to chill for a little bit right now, but I don't know what happened. I think I'm just gonna go on Twitter. People saying they can't find news anywhere. I don't know if this is tech. I mean, I guess it could be technical. I mean, obviously, as if there's no news, but maybe something's going on behind the scenes. I'm sorry for taking long before we get into like the actual analysis, but this is important. So I don't get it. I'm looking everywhere, not seeing much. I don't know, until maybe news comes out or not. This is just, it is what it is. Futures are red overnight. NASDAQ futures are down 1.2%. S&P futures are down 0.66%, it's a little bit more than 0.5%. If the futures stay like this overnight, we're going to have a red open tomorrow, which is not the end of the world, and I'm going to talk about why. But something happened in the last 20 minutes where you had a very big 1% pullback, which just, it doesn't happen overnight that quickly unless something happens. I don't remember the last time you've fallen 1% within 20 minutes overnight on no news. So if it is truly Japan and them having a bad open, I guess that's bad. Asian economic data, due to release, China inflation. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Let's actually just talk about what happened today, and then I guess we'll come back to this if some news comes out or whatever the deal is. But like I always say on the streams, I don't care what's happening in the market or whatever, like no matter how bad things are, I'm always showing up to the stream. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm going to cover everything I can. Let's start off with Bitcoin, and then we'll really get into stocks. So if we look at Bitcoin right now, also pulled back. Bitcoin had a pretty good morning, but then when the QQQ and the NASDAQ really started falling, Bitcoin also fell. That tended to happen quite a bit last year up until like November, and then in November, December, Bitcoin started like detaching from the market and just kind of did its own thing. Even when the market had pullbacks, Bitcoin was still going up. I think Bitcoin pulled back because of just the general markets today. A lot of tech stocks pulled back. It actually bounced at an 88.6% retrace. So it came down to pretty much the 886, had a bullish pin bar candle on the 4-hour, and now it's dropping again. There is no divergence on the 4-hour daily. There's really not much of a pattern here. Bitcoin was looking good. I think Bitcoin looked pretty good. It looked like an inverse head and shoulders. It was trying to break out, and then you just had a random pull. So it's crazy. I mean, at this point, Bitcoin's like literally in the middle of a support and resistance. I wouldn't say it's in a range, but like it's just, maybe it's like an upsloping channel. That could be the better way to look at Bitcoin. But this has obviously affected many cryptos. I'd probably look at Bitcoin like this, like an upslope. Yeah, this is very textbook. Look how perfectly it is. You have kind of 3 touches on the top and then 3 on the bottom. This is currently the pattern on Bitcoin. Currently, you have an upsloping channel. I wouldn't say it's bearish or bullish. It's kind of neutral. It depends on which way you break out. And I'm not going to really call it a bear flag because it happened after a move up and not after a move down. So neutral structure for now. And this is really what's going on with Bitcoin with the pullback. You've created this. Most altcoins are down. Dogecoin pulled back like crazy. I'm not going to spend that long on Dogecoin. But it basically came down to 41 cents. And then it kind of closed above 44 cents if you look at the closes on the 4-hour candles. And that used to be your all-time highs back from last month. But Dogecoin was down like 20% or something earlier. Bitcoin down 1% on the new day. It was down like 4 or 5% earlier. And what I mean by the new day is at 8 p.m. EST, Bitcoin puts in a new daily candle because Bitcoin goes by UTC, I believe, which is like universal time. So by the new day, I mean like an hour ago is when the new day started for Bitcoin. But like based in like 24 hours, it's down, I think, like 5% or whatever. But let's talk about stocks. We'll get back to crypto later if we need to. We have obviously a lot to talk about stocks. Keep in mind, futures are pretty red right now. And I said earlier, that might not be the worst thing ever. Now, why do I say that? Because I would rather we have a red open tomorrow than we open green and then we go red. Like I'd rather we just open red than go from green to red tomorrow morning. Now, if we open green tomorrow morning, I still think we're going to fall. So I'd rather have a bad open, like a small gap down tomorrow morning, open red, and then this is what I want to see tomorrow. All right. This is what I want to see. I want to see the NASDAQ test 13,324. Okay. Now, 13,324 is a gap fill from March 31st. And it is also your golden retrace, the most important Fibonacci level. If we look from the swing low to the swing high, that's your golden retrace. So what I want to see literally tomorrow on the NASDAQ is I want to see 13,324 get tested. And I want us to bounce off of it. Okay, that's a very important level. As you can see and if you see on this first gap fill, when we filled it last week, you bounced off of it like 3 times, and then you finally really broke that level today, which we were talking about in the Discord. So I want to get this gap filled. I don't want to just rally up without filling this gap. I'd rather just get it over with. It's about 0.5% under where the NASDAQ closed, and futures are down 1%. So I'd rather we just gap down, fill this gap immediately, and then we have a gap to fill over. If we do gap down tomorrow, then we're going to have to fill the gap down. So I'd rather we gap down, fill this old gap, and then fill the new gap to the upside. And then eventually you do have a gap way high above at like 13,800. So I want to go like 0.5% lower on the NASDAQ, and then I want to see a nice rally off of that. But who knows, if futures really get violent overnight, maybe you open under 13,324. Maybe you gap down 1% instead of 0.5%. And then if you break that level, if you break 13,324 on the NASDAQ, that's horrible, okay? That's really bad, because then you're talking 13,000 is probably going to get retested. And you finally had like a confirmation close under that previous resistance. You kind of chopped around at this 13.6K level all of last week that I was talking about. You were closing like right at it on Thursday and Friday, and today you clearly closed under it. This is kind of like I don't even know the actual name, but it's kind of like the opposite of an abandoned baby, because you have like this green candle, then you gapped up, and then you gapped down. So like this would be your abandoned baby. Can you have like an abandoned baby? Because like the normal abandoned baby I look at is like the opposite. It's like you have a gap down and then you gap up after it. So let me search this up. I don't know, probably somebody in the chat knows this. Like a bearish abandoned baby candle pattern. I don't know what it would be called. Let's see. Yeah, it just says bearish abandoned baby. It might have another name, but it looks something like this. All right, you can see where you have that green candle, then you have a gap up candle, and then you have a red gap down candle. That's a bearish reversal candle pattern. So that's pretty much what happened on the NASDAQ. A bearish abandoned baby. It's not super textbook. I mean, it really wasn't a doji, but it was pretty close to a doji on Friday. So yeah, really red day in the market for pretty much everything except for industrials and financials, but those also pulled back towards the end of the day. We'll see what happens. You were developing hidden bullish divergence only on Friday, and now you're not developing hidden bullish divergence. I still think eventually you're going to start developing again, as long as you make a higher low than 12,800, which could easily happen. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if that would be a shooting star, because on the shooting star, it's typically a little bit different, where you have like a inverse hammer candle, if that makes sense. This really was not an inverse hammer candle right over here. So it's close. It's in between a shooting star and a bearish abandoned baby, because it's not a doji, but it's not also an inverted hammer. So, but it's bearish, right? Evening star, let me look that up. Yes, it looks most like an evening star, in my opinion. Yeah, from what I'm seeing on Google, it's pretty close to an evening star. So I think that's correct. Shout out to YCuz. Bearish abandoned baby, evening star, kind of like a shooting, like you get it. It's a bearish candle signal. Psychology of it is clearly bearish. Hopefully we bounce off of 13,324 tomorrow on the NASDAQ. Let's look at the S&P 500. You actually closed right at your previous, like, as you can see, you had a little gap over here. When you gapped down, you used 4,187 as your resistance for a few days. And then on Thursday during Power Hour, last Thursday, you finally had a big move. You got above it. And then on Friday, you obviously had two other green 4-hour candles. But you come all the way back down, and now you're actually, I'm not going to say you're using it as support. You just pretty much closed there. So we'll see what happens. That's an important level. If you break 41.87, and you 99% will break that if futures stay like this overnight, you're probably going to test 41.76 next. And just for, you know, just to make it more clearer, S&P futures are currently at 41.57, which would be all the way down here on the regular S&P. So you'd be well under these supports. And if you break back under 41.76, let me go out to the daily, you don't have any support to like 41.20. So very choppy areas, not looking good for right now. Even this, it wasn't like a textbook bearish engulfing candle, because you, I think you opened lower than Friday's close, as you can see. You didn't open higher and then close lower, but you definitely did close under Friday's lows with a very big red candle. On the Russell 2000, I think you also closed under this upsloping channel for the first time, but you're still above the 219 horizontal support. So really what it looks like looking at the S&P and the Russell and the NASDAQ is that we easily, like, and by easily I mean I think we are going to. I don't know for sure, but I think we are going to go a little bit lower before we go higher. But I want to hold these levels. I want to hold 13,324 on the NASDAQ, and I want to hold 219 on the Russell. But based on futures, we're going to be like, if futures stay like this, we're going to be gapping down under those most likely. So just hope that futures reverse overnight. I don't know why futures are down so much right now after an already terrible day. But I think just a lot of bears are in control. Maybe some news came out, maybe it didn't. It's just very clear that most market participants are a little bit fearful right now, panicking and sell biased. So that's typically what happens when the VIX gets above 19.6. You know, historically, if we go on to the daily, when you get above that level is when things really go crazy. Like December of 2018, the COVID crash, back in like October last year, and pretty much February this year when the S&P and the NASDAQ had that pullback. So these are interesting areas. We've been in these areas a couple times since the COVID crash. Historically, it's not gone so well, but the different thing that's occurring right now compared to the other times when the NASDAQ and the S&P and the Russell were all pulling back is now all those, you know, growth, small cap, EVs, pot stocks, SPACs, instead of them being like flying through the roof, making new all-time highs, all of those EVs and SPACs and pot stocks and crypto mining stocks have been dumping. They've literally been in a bear market for the last 2 or 3 months, ever since really the end of February. So you have so many stocks like Tilray and Fisker and CCIV and the IPOE and like all those SPACs, and you know what I'm talking about, all those things that were flying through the roof in like December and January. They've pretty much been in a bear market since March. So the question here is like, if the NASDAQ and the S&P, the large cap indices, really do continue pulling back, what's going to happen to the stocks that have already crashed? Are they going to just continue falling? Or are they going to do what they've been doing, which is inversing the indices? And what if now they're going to bounce? What if the money from the large caps are going to be rotated to the small caps now? I can't tell you the answer. I don't know the answer. Personally, I hope that we get rotation of small caps and mid caps, because January was a great month for small caps and mid caps. That was my biggest month ever. It was a very good month for a lot of people I've talked to. And then pretty much at the end of February is when most of them started dumping. Just very, very interesting areas for the market. You know, I think really tomorrow is going to be a very important day for the next few weeks. I think what happens tomorrow is going to give us a lot of clarity in terms of whether the bears are really taking over control or if the bulls are still going to just make a higher low and continue this really good bull market. We're not even close to jeopardizing the bull market. You need to fall at least like another 10-15% on the indices to be jeopardizing the bull market. Because if we look at the S&P 500, you're not even close to the bottom of the wedge. And like I've said before, like I'm not even going to be thinking about a bear market unless you break the domain line of this broadening wedge. So just to get back down to the bottom of this pattern, you're talking about like a 7-8% move. So we're not even close to talking about a bear market, but that's still a very significant pullback. If the S&P pulls back 7-8%, that's obviously indicative of all the stocks that are in the S&P 500, meaning that they're going to be dumping. So not good. Futures are bouncing up a little bit right now. If you missed the beginning of the stream, futures had a very, very quick drop, which is unnormal. Typically, futures, when they're right overnight, they just move down little by little by little. Within like 5 minutes, you fell 1% on the NASDAQ. Now you're finally bouncing, but you're still down. Right. So hopefully we get a good bounce. But like I said earlier, I really would like to have a red open. And that's really weird saying that, but I would like to have red open just so we can get down to the gap fill the gap and then bounce off of it on the NASDAQ, which is also your golden retrace. And then maybe, and it's like the most bullish scenario ever, I shouldn't even be talking about it yet, but I would love for this to happen. We fill the gap, then we, get back above 13.6K, and then hidden bullish divergence develops, and then boom, you're back to all-time highs after making yet another higher low in this super bullish trend. But obviously that needs to happen first, and there currently is a lot of selling pressure in the market. So if we look at all the other things, the QQQ, you broke support today. You broke kind of like your 3-day support. As you can see, this like 326 level, you closed under that. Your next support is pretty close. Thankfully, it's 324, which used to be a resistance over here. If you fall under 324, then you have a gap fill down to 320. If we look at the Dow Jones, it's been outperforming pretty much every index, but it had a great open today, and then it sold off at the close. So that kind of is a bearish. That really is a bearish candle. It shows that the bears took over control to end the day. And you closed under Friday's close on the Dow Jones. We already looked at the volatility index. Let's look at the US 10-year yield. It's still bullish. I've been saying it's looking bullish for like a week now. You still have hidden bullish divergence. You flipped your resistance into a support. You had a bullish hammer candle. The 10-year yield looks good, which is not good for equities. The dollar, it doesn't look that good, honestly. It looks kind of crappy, which is good for equities. So that's fine for now. The SPAC ETF, this is what I'm talking about. The Russell is a small cap index, but it's not showing what happened to EVs and pot stocks and SPACs. It's saying that small caps have been going up, but like the older small caps have been going up. Like those newer names, like the Fiskars and the CCIVs and the Neos and whatever, all those ones that ran like crazy last year, they've been dumping for the last 2 months, and this is really what this is kind of showing. So you have fallen under the lows. You fell under your April lows on the SPAC ETF, and then there's like a gap fill to like 23.23. And yeah, that's my thoughts on the market. Really interesting what happened today. Futures not looking good. Obviously, individual stocks are not doing too hot. If you look at the sheet from today, it was compared. I mean, the Nasdaq and the Russell were down 2.5% today. So this is a kind of like a mixed open to the week on the sheet. But still, hopefully, I always want this to be super green. Pretty much, it was like halfway green and halfway red. Even though it is net positive because we had the premium trade, which was X, it hit the target for 27% profit. And then the crypto trade actually hit the target this morning for 23%, which was BNT. And then just talking about BNT, look how crazy this is. So this crypto trade that I put out like 10 days ago, it hit the target this morning, and then boom, literally got right to the target, went like maybe a couple cents higher, and then it just dumped with the rest of crypto. So that was great timing right there. The trade already played out, 23%. Congrats to those who were in it. And yeah, let's talk about some individual stocks now that we've covered the whole entire market. So make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the stream and you want technical analysis on stocks and cryptos and metals and whatever you want me to look at for you. But I'm just going to run through a few tickers I want to talk about for a little bit, like 10-15 minutes. And then after that, I'll look at all the tickers you guys want me to look at in the chat. So yeah, well, we'll do ticker requests in like literally 10 minutes. But actually, there's two things I want to talk about before I really get into individual stocks. There's two things I want to bring up. We're not doing ticker requests yet, but just two things. Number one is, so now that I have a lot more free time because college is over, I just feel like there's more I could be doing because, I'm in the Discord throughout the day. I'm streaming at night. I'm putting out trades. But I don't know. I feel like I'm just missing out on some other things that I might be doing. So if anybody has suggestions on ways I can help you out with trading, just let me know in the chat. And then also I was thinking like I kind of want more segments on the stream because basically the stream is like I start off, I talk about Bitcoin, the stock market, and the ongoing trades. And then I just look at tickers for all of you for the rest of the stream, which is it's a good, I feel like we've been having good streams. It's just like, I don't know if there's any segments that you guys want on the stream. Like last night we did scanning for like a little bit. If you want me to do some like fundamental analysis, look at like, what's going on with the news headlines. I just want to kind of do some more than what I'm already doing. So let me know if you have any ideas of how I could be a better streamer. And then the other thing, I've never really asked this, but I'm just kind of wondering, and let me know in the chat, what state are all of you in? Or if you're not in the United States, what country are you in watching the stream? I kind of want to know where everybody's from. So yeah. Whatever state you're in, type it in the chat. Whatever country, if you're not in the US, type it whatever country you're in, maybe also the city, and we'll kind of see where everybody's from. I'm just trying to be more like not just charting. I'm trying to, actually talk a little bit more because I can probably stream for longer every night now. So yeah, South Dakota, Spiderwebs, awesome. We got Brooklyn, D, not too far from myself, like probably an hour and a half away from Brooklyn. Toronto, Canada. Matey, great place. I've been there before. Canada as well, from Mecca. Awesome. I've been to a few cities in Canada. What else we got? New Mexico. Wow, that's awesome. James. Bar Signs in Central Coast, California. I'm not too sure where that is in Cali. We got Mecca's in Vancouver, Michigan for Tom. Chicago for Sid. Awesome. Florida, FIFA Jesus. I went to high school in Florida. Denver, Colorado. Nice. MA, Iowa, Chicago, Virginia. Kind of all over the place. That's awesome. Orlando, Florida. Dope. I love Orlando. Only been there a couple times though. South Dakota. Is that the second one from South Dakota? Somebody else said, I think, let me scroll up. South Dakota, yeah. So we have 2 people in South Dakota. Indiana. Awesome, awesome. I don't know, I just want to know because I've never really asked that before, so I just want to see where everybody's from. Kind of all over the place. Looks like most of us are in North America though, because we have some in Canada as well. But yeah, let's look through some stocks. And let's talk about it. First one is SOS. This was a failed trade. It already got stopped out and it fell like another 8% after getting stopped out. It got stopped out on Friday, fell like another 8% today, but it's really interesting because now it's kind of at a new support, which was your lows from April 19th on SOS. It was your candle high on July 13th of last year. And it was your supports on July of 2019. So very big congestion area for SOS on the weekly. Also right above the 200-day moving average. So we'll see. I mean, if this is going to reverse anywhere, it's probably going to be like between like 330 and 360. That's the important area because you have that multi-level support and then your 200-day moving average. And then eventually, if you really do pivot, you can get classic bullish divergence on the daily. So it still looks pretty interesting. Of course, the initial trade failed, but we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see if we can double bottom over here. I put out a new alert today. I think we looked at this last night on stream when I was scanning and stuff. But this is IPGP. They do like a lot of laser technology stuff. I was looking at the website earlier today. Not a huge company. Volume's also not the best, like pretty much 500,000. But it is the share price is pretty high, so that's all right. And it's interesting. So last night when we looked at it, all we saw was the bullish bat harmonic, pretty textbook bullish bat. But then today when I was looking at it, I noticed that there's also a bullish crab, where you had a 618 retrace from XB, and then your 2618 lines up with the 886 from the bat. So both of the PCZ, both of the pattern completion zones are at the same price point, which is around like 184-ish. And ironically, that price point of the pattern completion zones is also a very historical level. If we go back in time, you can see that used to be a resistance in July of last year. And also kind of in April of 2019. And then even more so, you kind of just went sideways for a little bit there in 2017. Not that much there though. So that's really what I liked about this. Pretty easy to manage your risk even if it does fail. You're talking about a 5% loss, and you could probably tighten the stop loss if you wanted to as well. So low risk, decent reward trade. We'll see if it plays out. Obviously the market has to align, and right now the market's not aligning. So yeah, that's one of them. Skills was a failed trade. I don't even know what to say. It sucks. You know, Skills and Iceland got stopped out. I think they looked good. Honestly, if this was January, they probably would have played out. Things like these were going insane in January when we got these types of setups. If you're around in January, you know what I'm talking about. We saw things like this, and every single time they would just play out 30, 40, 50%. It's not the market we're in anymore, unfortunately. And that was pretty much the worst part of today, those two trades stopping out. SPG though, I think I alerted this last week. Awesome. Oh, let me skip this song. This is exactly what I wanted SPG to do. They had earnings after hours, which went all right. So let me just look at where the stock closed at. I think it closed like flat after hours, not too much changed. It was down 1% after hours. So it pulled back a little bit. Pretty much, I guess it might fill the gap because it gapped up today. But perfect. This is known as a break, hook, and go, where you break out of your resistance, then you hook it, which means you flip your resistance into a support, and then you have a nice go, which is typically it could be a bullish engulfing candle. That's what you like to see. But just like a nice green candle is what you got on Friday, and then you got a gap up today before earnings. So as long as you're above 122 on SPG, it looks good in my opinion. I mean, there's not much resistance until the first target of the trade. So you're talking minimum 129, 130 is your next resistance if you just look at this little low from right before the COVID crash. But yeah, nice breakout. Hidden bullish divergence continues. Good stuff there. PGRE, it was actually at the highest point of the trade today. This trade's been going on for forever, but then it pulled back with a lot of other things in the final hours of the day. DNLI kind of like a break-even trade. This is not currently a trade. Fisker, I believe, got stopped out at $12.30. So since the trade got stopped out, Fisker has fallen like another 15%. That's why you use stop losses. Like really, from $32 to the current price, Fisker has fallen like 68%. And in total, if you combine both of the trades that I put out on Fisker, I think you're talking about like a 13 or 14% loss. If you combine both the trades that I put out, the first trade was at $16 and then the second trade was at like 13 bucks. If you take both of those stop losses and add them up, it's like 13, 14%. So it was like a small fraction of this whole entire downtrend has been, 14%. And that's where stop losses help. If you didn't use a stop loss, you'd probably be down a lot more. So it sucks. There's no trade on Fisker right now. Eventually, well, I could probably promise you there will be a new trade on Fisker at some point. I don't know when. It depends on when things start looking good again. In terms of, and this is what I was kind of talking about in the Discord earlier today. And from a trader's standpoint, there's not really an edge on Fisker right now. You're not at a support. You're not at a pattern completion zone yet. You don't have divergence. So we're waiting for those things to occur. From an investor's standpoint, though, this is one of the best prices you could have ever gotten Fisker at, or you could ever get Fisker at based on its history. I don't know. Maybe it continues falling, but just it's really only been this slow one other time, which was that original bullish butterfly that obviously went insane, if you remember. So it's pretty much the lowest point you've been at ever since then, and like the last summer when it was just going sideways at the SPAC price. So the pattern completion zone of this bullish bat is about $9.70. That would be the 2618 from B to D, and that's actually what happened on the last butterfly. From B to D, Fisker reversed at the 2618, and then it went up like 150%, like in one move. So if you're looking for a new butterfly, the same exact pattern, it's there. It's on the chart, but the pattern completion zone is 970. Maybe, and again, this is the most optimal scenario. You get down to the pattern completion zone of the butterfly, you get a great bounce, and then your MACD does something like this. Like, this is what I want to see Fisker do. All right. Let me just draw it out. All right, so this is what I want Fisker to do. I want it to drop to the PCZ of the bullish butterfly, the 2618, and then develop the classic bullish divergence by making a lower level of negative momentum than the previous MACD island on the daily. And then you can get classic bullish divergence at the pattern completion zone of a bullish butterfly, very similar to what happened over here before you ran up 150%. I believe you had bullish divergence on the 4-hour, not the daily at the original butterfly. On the daily, you just kind of had nothing on the MACD or the RSI. You made a lower low on the price and the oscillators, but now there's a good chance that at some point your MACD is going to start going back down towards green on Fisker, and you are going to get daily classic bullish divergence. It's just a question of when. I think it's going to happen most likely, just because you've already dropped so much in price, you're already oversold on the RSI, and the MACD's barely come down that much, so you have a lot of breathing room to fall more in the MACD and still make a higher low than your previous lows on momentum. So it's just a question, in my opinion, it's a question of not if, but when. And it's not now, based on technicals. Maybe just because of the fact that it's oversold and that it's at the SPAC redemption share price, even though it's not like a SPAC anymore. This used to be your support, I guess, and it was just not your support. It was just really where the price was like before the crazy move last summer. So based on that, maybe. Also, if the market plays well, I'm sure if the NASDAQ and the S&P have a huge green day someday this week, just because of how oversold Fisker is, it'll do pretty well. But at the same time, the NASDAQ and the S&P have been doing well for the last 2 months, and Fisker obviously it's not been. So actually, I don't know. That's what I'm looking at on Fisker right now. As a trader, it needs more work. As an investor, I do personally believe that in time, Fisker will be at a much higher level. If I'm just going to be straight up, all right, I'm just going to say what I want to say right now. Don't judge me. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I mean, I care, but I really, at the same time, it's just me giving my opinion. Do not take this as financial advice. I'm just saying what I believe as an investor in Fisker. And I personally believe that in the future, whether that's 2 months from now or a year from now, Fisker will easily be at 2 to 3x the current price, because it already has been. So by the times that they literally have cars on the road, which is pretty much like the beginning of 2023, like if you were at $32 like 2 years before the cars were out, what could the price be when the cars are actually out? That's, you know what I'm saying? When they actually are getting revenues and stuff like that. So personally, as an investor, I think that in the long term, getting Fisker here, if you hold for long enough, could be a great reward. The only thing is, you're an investor. You're not a trader, so even if you get Fisker right here, what if it goes to $8 before it goes back to $30? Right? That's where dollar cost averaging comes into play. But as a trader, you never want to be down probably more than 10 to 15% on a swing trade. So if it does go all the way down to $8, then that sucks as a trader, because then you're probably going to be stopped out of your trade. So when we're looking at Fisker, it just comes down to investor or trader. If you're an investor, I like this price point fundamentally. I think that this is a great valuation for the long term to be entering here and holding for a few years. Not financial advice, just my opinion. And then as a trader, I think in time, you're going to get bullish divergence. Hopefully you get to the PCZ, and then I'll put out a trade. But I need to see that happen first. I'm not trying to catch a falling knife. This first trade was actually, so literally both of the trades I put out, well, really in this whole entire downtrend, I put out like 3 actual like real swing trades in this whole entire downtrend from $32 to $10. And mind you, nobody, maybe one person in the whole world was thinking that Fisker would go back to $10 when it was at 32. I remember the day Fisker was at $32, everybody was calling for insane price targets. I believe Adam Jonas has like a $90 bull case scenario price target for Fisker. When it was doing this, everybody thought Fisker was the future. Now people are forgetting about Fisker and they act like it was not just at $32 in March. So it's just crazy how quickly the sentiment changed for no reason. There wasn't any bad news. The chip shortages don't affect them. It's just there's no hype in the sector of EVs. And you can't even say, oh, it got downgraded. It didn't get downgraded until it was right over here. It was not downgraded anywhere over here. Goldman Sachs downgraded it right here. So that's my thoughts on Fisker. I didn't really talk about it much in the Discord or anything, but I wanted to spend time on it tonight. It's not like it's like a trade right now, but obviously Fisker is kind of where this whole entire stream started, and it's a company I care about, and it kind of pisses me off seeing this happen to it, but that's just what happened, and you can't have emotions when you're trading. As an investor, you can have emotions. I have a lot of emotions as an investor, but as a trader, there's no emotions, and that's just what it is. So make your own decision. Those are just my my 2 cents on Fisker at these levels. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Futures on the Nasdaq still down 1%. Bitcoin bouncing a little bit, still not looking too good. And that really covers everything I wanted to talk about going into the stream. It actually took me a while. It usually only takes me like 20 minutes to cover everything I want to talk about. Tonight it took me 40 minutes. So hopefully the extended analysis tonight gave you some input, but make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, check out the links in the description, join the Discord. Let me take a look at the chat. Pattern completions on Fisker is about, I just had it. Did I delete it? Like around $9.70, I believe. Somewhere around there. If you're looking for the 2618 from BD, there's a few different PCZs. What's up, Medic Vibe? How you doing? A lot of people like Fisker. I like it too. I like the stock. No current incomer, you know. Yeah, I mean, again, Fisker is putting their cars on the road much later than a lot of other EV stocks, which I think is a good thing. Goldman Sachs does not think it's a good thing. Goldman Sachs basically said when they downgraded Fisker, and don't quote me on this, but they pretty much said, from I believe what I read, that Fisker is going to be too late to the EV game. No. I think it's the other way around. I think a lot of these EV companies are too early, which is good for Fisker. All these new EV companies that are coming out to the road right now, they're going to be the first ones that are going to deal with all the issues of it's going to be hard converting people from gas vehicles to EVs, because Most people in the world right now still drive gas vehicles. So all the companies putting out EV vehicles this summer, they have to do a good job of convincing people to switch over to EVs, which is not going to be easy because people go with things they trust, right? Why do people get an iPhone every year and they don't get a random Android phone? Because they like the brand of Apple. So when you're trying to switch people over from gas vehicles to EV vehicles, it's not going to be easy. And Fisker is going to be entering the market after a few years of people getting all these EV options. And then you have Fisker come out, which is going to be, Fisker is currently, based on what they've said, is the best dollar per spec EV. Based on the price point of $37K, roughly, no other EV has better specs than Fisker. Yes, Tesla has a better car than Fisker based on specs. Lucid has a better car than Fisker based on specs, but both of those cars are priced higher than $37K. Fisker, for now, maybe another company by 2022 or 2023 gets a better car per dollar, but as of right now, based on what Fisker has said, no other EV compares to what they're offering at that price point. So when they drop their vehicles in 2023, they're going to be the best dollar per spec EV. And the way to capture a market and make people switch from one sector to another is through affordability and scalability. When you're putting out an $80,000, $90,000 car, most people will not be able to afford that in this country. So for the Model S and the Lucid Air, they're great. Tesla's been crushing it. I think Lucid's going to do well. I'm a fan of Lucid. I just think Fisker will be the most scalable, kind of similar to the Model 3 Tesla, which also is like one of the most sold cars in the world right now. So really, other than Tesla, I think Fisker has the best scalability potential in the future. But obviously, yeah, it's going to be a waiting game. And the subscription model lowers costs. They're not building their cars, so they don't have to build huge factories like Tesla and Lucid, which obviously take up a lot of money and liability. Production liability, I mean. So yeah, hopefully that long talk on Fisker, I don't know, gave you some of my thoughts or whatever. But that covers everything I want to talk about tonight. Futures are dropping again. We'll look at tickers now for all of you. So yeah, if you want me to look at something for you, and again, if you've been typing in tickers for the last 20 minutes and you're mad at me because I haven't looked at your ticker, remember, I always like going over what I want to go over for the first half an hour of the stream, and then I'll tell you when we're doing ticker requests, and that is now. So if you're coming out to the stream every single night, wait till I say it's time to do ticker requests, all right? And I'm saying that right now, it's time to do ticker requests. So if you want me to look at something for you, now drop it in the chat and I'll look at what you want me to. Not financial advice, I'm just giving you my opinions. Don't request something that IPO'd yesterday. Don't request something that was up 5,000% today. Give me something that I can chart, all right? I'll start with XL. There's not much I can tell you about XL. It's very unfortunate. Let's see what else we got in here. DraftKings or Neo. We'll look at both of them. DFFN, UWMC, Matic, Fubo, Tesla, Blink. Tesla, not a good day, but that was the case for most stocks. Sure, we could look at some Forex. I'll do that one. Poshmark has a stock? That's crazy. I didn't even know that. ETH.x. I don't see that on TradingView. Do you just mean Ethereum? Let me know in the chat. Spider, I don't know if it was you, but whoever Commando 26V, I don't know if Commando 26V is you, Spider, from when you tipped yesterday, or whoever tipped. But Commando 26V asked about XLM yesterday, and I talked about the cup and handle. And until Bitcoin like pulled back like crazy, XLM was doing very, very well this morning, and then it just got pulled with Bitcoin. But it actually broke out of the cup and handle, and it probably would have been great until Bitcoin took it back, because Bitcoin's the king of crypto. I did look at it today after we talked about it last night. Yeah, we'll look at Ethereum, which hit 4,000. Look at Chainlink. Medic, you know I'm not a fan of looking at Chainlink nowadays because of the price point I used to own it at and the fact that I sold it early. We'll look at Chainlink. ETH, Ethereum dominance. I didn't even know they have an Ethereum dominance chart. I know they have a Bitcoin dominance, which I look at quite often. So XL made a new all-time low today, which means you don't have any more support. You could easily reclaim 583, but until you reclaim 583, I don't have much to talk about. All right, there's no other support. There's really not much of a pattern. Apparently earnings are on the 17th, which I think is like around when both Fisker and Clover have their earnings. When did Fisker just announced their earnings date? Like last week? I think it was around then. Let's see. Fisker, May 17th. Oh my gosh. So Fisker, and I think Clover is also May 17th. Wow. So next Monday is a very important earnings day for me. Not because I'm in Clover or XL right now, but Fisker, Clover, and XL all report earnings on Monday. And Fisker, Clover, and XL are 3 stocks that are a big history of Champion Vibe. I've put out multiple huge trades on Fisker. I've put out multiple huge trades on XL back when it was PIC. I put out like a 30% trade on it. And then obviously I've put out multiple good trades on Clover. A couple bad ones over here when after that short report. But a lot of good ones over here. There was even one good one over here. So like Clover and Fisker are probably my 2 most traded stocks ever. So I have like a good place in my heart for them, even though they've not been doing well in the last couple of weeks, or for Fisker the last couple of months. But yeah, I'm really excited for next Monday. That's a big earnings day for me. Not that, again, like not that I'm in Clover or XL right now. I just care about them. I'm gonna cry. But yeah, so I'll just look at Clover as well. I'm just typing everything into my watch list and I'm gonna look at all of them. I just want to kind of make sure I have everything there. Solo. I have a great place in my heart for Solo. I'm joking, I don't. Did I not say multiple times that I was bearish on Solo, like over here? I was actually bullish on it for 1 day, and that was the day it went up for like a little swing trade or like day trade. But like, I've had multiple streams where I did not say such nice things about Solo, and it's pulled back a lot. To be fair, most CVs have pulled back a lot though. I just look up the Solo car and tell me if you like it. All right, it's nothing against the stock. I just don't like the company and the car. All right, I have my opinions, you have yours. If you tell me you hate Fisker, I'm not going to judge you. I have a different opinion than you, but I'm not going to judge you, right? I mean, I hate how people think that you can only think one way about stocks. You're allowed to hate stocks, right? You're not a bad person if you hate a stock, or if you just, I'm not going to say hate, that's a strong word. If you dislike a stock, there's nothing wrong with that, all right? So stop being so emotional, all right? You're traders, you're not supposed to have emotions. Yeah, I got like 10 dislikes on the stream that I called Solo an egg car. But to be fair, tell me this is not like an egg-shaped car. Am I wrong? Does this car look funny to you? It looks funny to me. I would never, if you ever see me driving in one of these, just know I'm in a bad place, all right? I mean, this is like, have you seen the movie The Lorax? This looks like something out of The Lorax. Like, I'm gonna get dislikes again on the stream for saying this, but The Lorax car. It looks like this thing. Is that what, like a Mazda? It looks like this. This is what the Solo car looks like. All right. And don't hate me for saying this. You can tell me that the Fisker car looks horrible and I'm not going to be mean to you. It's just an opinion. All right. Chill out. But it's an egg car. Let's get back to analyzing because we really haven't done much charting. I know I missed some tickers just because I got a little bit sidetracked. So if I missed your ticker, just type it in again. And yeah, keep hitting that like button. Hopefully you're not hitting the dislike button because I called Solo an egg car. But all right, let's look through it. So the first one is, let's look through these tickers. First one's XL. I already kind of talked about it, but you need to get back over 583 and then we're talking. But until you're back above it, there's nothing to talk about. There's no pattern or divergence or support. Coinbase was up 12% today. Wow. I can really only look at the 1 hour chart here. Don't really see much to talk about. There's not enough data on this chart for me to really give you a real analysis, but you broke like a supply line, I guess. So as long as you're above that, it looks fine. AT&T has been going crazy. Did it break out? AT&T finally broke out of this range it's been in since the COVID crash. So your next resistance is 33.27. and then 34.26. And your support is your previous resistance of like 31.82. So yeah, that's AT&T. Not much to talk about besides from that. Not much of a pattern, or actually did have hidden bullish divergence on the daily. Next one is DraftKings. What did I say? I think I said this maybe last night or on Friday or on Thursday stream. I said this very recently. Basically what I said was, if you break the 200-day moving average, you're probably going to see, or you're probably going to test 44.27. That's exactly what happened. You broke the 200-day moving average and you went down to 44.27, and you actually got an intraday bounce there. 44.46 is when you went down to, but you get it was in the same area, which was like kind of your tweezer bottom at the end of last year, beginning of this year, which it went on a crazy run after that. So if you can really hold above $44, eventually you can create classic bullish divergence, but you need to hold above 44. That's the make or break area. You break 44 and then you have like a gap fill to like 37, 38 bucks. So you want to hold 44 bucks. Neo, this actually, I believe this was a premium trade. I believe I closed it out in profit. I think I closed it out like right over here. So this was a premium trade. It never got to the target, and then it fell under the support, and I pretty much told all the premium members, I'm just going to take the profits here on this trade. No reason to let it become a failed trade. So it was like a good trade, even though it never got to the initial target that I wanted. But basically the idea of the trade originally was you had a bullish cipher, which you double bottomed at the PCC. You had a nice run up, and then it just kind of didn't do too well after earnings. But to be fair, a lot of stocks haven't done too well, or a lot of EV stocks haven't done too well recently. Now it's under the 200-day moving average, but it's back at that support. 34 bucks is your support. So if you hold above 34, you're fine. If you break under it, your next support is just, I'm not even going to say support, but just area you're probably going to test is your candle low for March 5th, which is 32 bucks pretty much. And March 5th was the day that the S&P was at the bottom of the wedge, and it bounced off of it. So that is Neo. Next one is DFFN. Did we look at this recently? I think we might have looked at this like last night or something. I don't have it charted though. It's trying to double bottom. It was actually up 13% today. So it looks like it's trying to double bottom off of 65 cents, which used to be your support back in November, December last year, which you also kind of double bottomed at and then had a crazy run. So it looks good. I mean, it was up 13%. If the market pulls back, could this pull back too? Pretty easily. You even had classic bullish divergence at the second bottom. Your support is 65 cents. Your resistance, obviously you have like the neckline of the double bottom at like 81 cents. But then after that, your 200-day moving average is at 93 cents. UWMC went to a new all-time low. It's just like XL. You don't have any more support left. You need to get back over 722 before we talk about it. All right, that's your important level and you're under it. So get back above 722 and then we could see what's up with it. That's all I have to say. Matic is kind of gone to the moon. I mean, this thing was it was pretty much 1 cent, I believe. It was like 1 or 2 cents last year. And now it's 85 cents. So I'd say it's a nice move. At this point though, I'm not too sure. I don't see a divergence or any pattern to really talk about. All right. Oh, I forgot I have tea. And now it's cold. Great. Spent so long talking in the beginning of the stream. All right. Fubo. Yeah, I don't know. Again, on a lot of these stocks, they've just been crushed so hard, and I hate it because I like a lot of these stocks. I like Fubo, I like Clover, I like XL, I like Fisker. But just because I like them doesn't mean they have to go up, and you need to understand that. So Fubo also was another trade, just like Neo. I put out an alert on Fubo, and then I just closed it early because I didn't like how it fell under the $20 support. So I closed out Fubo for like a 6% profit for everybody. And then look, it probably would have been stopped out by now if I didn't close it out in profit. So it was good I closed it out where I did. It rejected the 200-day moving average. And even the day that it hit the 200-day moving average, I alerted everybody in the Discord that it was testing it. At this point, let's see. Let me pull up that harmonic again. I mean, you're under the 2618. You're at like the 272. I guess your next area is like the 1272, which is way lower. You're not really at a PCZ right now, in my opinion. You're in between PCZs, which is fine to reverse that. You're in the ranges of the harmonic, but you're not at like a real Fibonacci level, which just gives you more probability. And then $15.67 is your next support, which just used to be a resistance back in November. Not much until then. It says earnings are tomorrow, according to TradingView, so that matters more than technicals. Thoughts on NFTs? I'm pretty sure NFTs have been around for quite a while, but they really got a lot of hype this year. I think a big reason as to why NFTs got a lot of hype this year is because of the crypto space and how well it's done. Because during the COVID crash, when people were struggling to pay rent and stocks were crashing and cryptos were crashing, I don't think anybody was thinking about buying pictures for 2 Ethereum, 3 Ethereum, whatever you want to say. So when we're experiencing a bad economy, I don't think there's going to be much interest for people buying pictures online. However, when we're in a very strong market, especially for crypto, things like that are going to be, like a lot of things like that are going to be created. I don't think we're just going to stop at NFTs. I think there's going to be a lot of other cool crypto projects that come out in the next couple of years. And look into a lot of these cryptos. I mean, there's crypto VPNs, there's smart contracts, there's a lot of cool things that cryptos do besides going up 10x in the last year after I sell them for a 2x chain link. But that's besides the point. In terms of NFTs specifically, I think it comes down to what it is. I like a few projects. I like CryptoPunks. I like NBA Top Shots. I think 90% or more than 90% of NFTs will eventually become worthless. But I think 10% of NFTs will really shoot up just because they're cool projects. So it just comes down to what it is. I feel like, and again, like when NFTs were really, really getting a lot of traction in like March and April, well, really March, so when they started really booming, like all the NFTs were just going crazy. Like it didn't matter what the project was, people just wanted NFTs. But if you look in the last few weeks, a lot of NFTs have been losing value because people just randomly they FOMO'd into NFTs. So now it just comes down to, is it a good NFT? And I only think maybe 10% of them will be true winners in the long run. And the other 90%, I think they were just part of like a little bubble. That's my thoughts on it. I think Gary Vee is actually doing an NFT project that's like dropping tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. I'm a big fan of Gary Vee. But yeah, let's get back to, I just want to read the chat. We're going to look at Tesla, Blink, the US dollar to the Canadian dollar, Posh, XLM, Ethereum, Chainlink, Ethereum Dominance, Clover, Solo, Rocket, the Trade Desk. We're going to look at all those stocks. I just want to read the chat for a little bit and we'll get to them. Don't worry about it. I'll chime in on the NFTs. They're extremely interesting, but the market is in a bubble. NFTs have a future and user access validation. I agree with that, yeah. A lot of NFTs are just in a bubble right now, but some of them will come out of the bubble and they'll be successful. But most of them, in my opinion, won't. I think you see a lot of these, after NBA did NBA Top Shots, then the NFL came out with NFTs, UFC came out with NFTs. Boxing has been coming out with NFTs. I mean, Jake Paul did an NFT the night of his fight. Canelo did an NFT last weekend. It's like, I feel like at this point, people are just trying to get a cash grab in a lot of NFTs. Like famous people are just making NFTs to get money for free. Not for free, of course, they're making art and stuff like that, but I think a lot of them are just doing it for a quick buck, which is not a good thing for the economy of NFTs. They should actually have meaning and purpose and value, not just, oh, this famous person launched an NFT, I'm gonna go buy it. But what happens in 2 years that famous person gets canceled? Like, there's so many things that are gonna come out of the space that we just don't know about yet. And I think a lot of the actual sports getting into NFTs is a little bit like they just want money. I mean, NBA Top Shots did it first, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And NBA Top Shots is clearly the most successful sports NFT for right now, but I think a lot of people just want money. So when people are doing that, it typically doesn't end too well because they're not doing it for the actual purpose of NFTs. They're doing it to make money, right? But again, just because I'm saying that doesn't mean I don't hate all NFTs. I like some NFTs, I do, but it comes down to what it is. Tesla, let's go back to charting for a little bit. Tesla kind of broke under this downsloping channel. Hidden bullish divergence is still possible eventually, but your MACD needs to start waning again. Your next support on Tesla is like $600. It's a psychological support, and it's your lows from beginning of April, end of March. And your resistance is 670 from these lows, kind of from these highs, but not really. Blink. I had a friend message me a harmonic of Blink earlier today. It was kind of like a cipher, I think. I think it was something like this. No, like that. Something like this. You definitely could see there's like an XABCD going on. It might have been a little bit different. I can't remember exactly. Maybe it was just like this little one right here. It might have been this, honestly. It could be either one, honestly, but there's a lot of XABCD stuff going on, not only on Blink, but a lot of growth stocks are showing harmonics. Like, I cannot believe how many harmonics I've seen in the last week just scanning. Believe it or not, last summer, it was very similar. A lot of retail stocks and technology stocks were showing harmonics last summer. And like most of those harmonics from last summer ended up actually playing out in like September. September was not a great month for the market. In like October, November, December, a lot of those harmonics are playing out in retail and tech stocks. So it took them like 3 months for them to really go insane. So maybe that's what's happening now with small caps and EVs and hot stocks and crypto mining stocks. So many of them are showing harmonic patterns. And we've probably been in a bad cycle for small caps for like 2 months now, or 1.5 months, around 2 months, I'd say. So maybe we have, you know, just based on how long the harmonics took to play out last year, maybe we have like another few bad weeks for small caps, but these patterns are appearing for a reason. All the harmonics were appearing after the COVID crash because there was immense value. Okay, all these harmonics on growth stocks are starting to appear because value is starting to show up. A lot of these things like CCIV was at $60. I wonder how big the market cap was when CCIV was at 60. So many of these EVs and pot stocks were not going up because of the actual company. They were just going up because of the hype. And then as soon as the hype died down, they all crashed. And I'm not saying CCIV shouldn't be worth $60. I'm just saying it happened so quickly and unnaturally. And that was the issue. It wasn't an issue when it was happening because it was very good for a lot of our portfolios. But typically when you get something do this, it comes down just as quick, right? That's just how stocks move. The volatility works on both sides. And now, hopefully, all these harmonics that we're seeing all over the place on stocks will play out. But time will tell, and obviously what I've been talking about is like the big question is like all these small caps and mid caps have been dumping while the market's been making all-time highs. So I'm really concerned about what's going to happen if the market starts really falling, like the S&P and the NASDAQ and the Russell, when these stocks already got crushed. Are they just going to keep falling too with the market, or are they going to inverse the market, which they already have been doing, and now they're going to go back up? So it's either we get rotation back into mid caps and small caps, or just everything falls, or we just continue what we've been doing, which is like large caps and industrials and financials run, and then small caps and mid caps stop. Like there's so many potential scenarios that can occur in the next months that I just don't know. But I think really we're at areas on the indices where we're about to find out, or we're going to get some signals, which is what I talked about in the beginning of the stream, right? These important areas I'm talking about. These are all signals for the next couple of months. Of course, things can change, but we're using the history of stocks to try and predict the future. We're not using the present. I mean, we're using the present to look for our current signals, but we're looking at what already did happen, right? We're not using what's going to happen tomorrow. We're using what already happened in the last week, the last year. That's what technical analysis is. Using the past to try and anticipate the future with probability, not with certainty, with probability. All right. But I know I've been taking forever to get through these stocks. I'm sorry. But yeah, you kind of have like a cipher above the 200 moving average. Not much divergence though. Eventually you can show 4-hour classic bullish divergence, but you need your MACD to start waning. I'd say 2964 is an important level because it was where you've had resistance in December last year. All right, next one, the dollar to the Canadian dollar. So very, very bad trend. The Canadian dollar, I'm pretty sure this means that the Canadian dollar has been outperforming the US dollar. Because we're looking at the US dollar to the Canadian dollar. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not too knowledgeable on Forex. But a lot of technical analysis actually was researched with Forex. So pretty much like really most Forex traders only use technicals. Of course, like they actually have to look at what's going on with the country, because obviously the news of the country will affect their currency. But Forex technicals work really, really well. Same thing for metals. Metals in Forex, like, yeah, they work really well. Like a lot of the websites that teach you about technical analysis are Forex websites. When I was learning about technicals last year, in the beginning of last year, like all the websites I was learning all these patterns from were like Forex websites. So yeah, I'm just for people who don't know. But very rough downtrend, not any divergence going on the daily or the 4-hour. So it's just making lower highs and lower lows. I mean, this is so bearish for now. Let's try and create some trend lines. It looks like you're kind of like testing the demand line of this downsloping channel or falling wedge. If you connect this low to this low, you're back at the demand line. You also have a support from 2017 here. So these are, look, you have a horizontal support and a linear support, which is your demand line. So it's either you reverse right over here. Why is it not letting me create a rectangle? Either you reverse between like 1.205 to 1.21, or like there's probably 119 next, right? And even if you do get a bounce off of this area, you still would have to break all the way above 126 to break your previous swing high. So it's like it's still going to be in a bear trend even if you bounce off of this. So not great long term, but hopefully it's probably going to reverse at some point and break out of this, but who knows when. Poshmark, there's really not enough data on the chart for me to give you much analysis, but it looks like after just dumping, it started finding support at 36 bucks, 1, 2, almost 3 times. And now it's kind of like triple bottoming and trying to make a run for it. But earnings, according to TradingView, are on Wednesday, which matters more than the technicals. Let's talk about crypto for a little bit. First one, XLM. We looked at it last night. I showed you the cup and handle. The measured move is $1. And it actually started playing out. This morning, it was breaking out of the cup and handle. It had a confirmed candle close. But what happened? Bitcoin. I just sneezed. Bitcoin fell. And when Bitcoin falls, most altcoins also fall. And that's just what happened on XLM. So it was looking great. It was setting up. The hidden bullish divergence was there. And then Bitcoin said, nope, get back down. And it did. So it needs to get back above 69 cents before it falls under 57 cents. That's what you're looking for. All right. That's XLM. Ethereum hit 4K, pulled back with Bitcoin, the king of crypto. This is how I was looking at Ethereum. And then once it broke this upper supply line, it was like, all right, game over. Just parabolic, straight up. At this point on Ethereum, it's obviously still in a very nice bull trend. I don't see much of a pattern. I mean, this is the weekly. It's pretty much straight up on the weekly. No divergence. I don't know. It's super strong fundamentally right now. There's so much hype around it, but from a technical analysis standpoint, I don't see much of an edge. The only edge is like it's in a very nice uptrend, but there's no divergence or patterns when you're going straight up, right? So I can't really do too much analysis there. Actually, I want to show you all something that I was looking at earlier today. All right, so this is the Ethereum chart. Let me just clear it up for a second, okay? And I'm gonna actually pull up the Litecoin chart. Now, Litecoin's already been going up like crazy, like most cryptos. But look at this, all right? So right now we're looking at Ethereum, okay? Let's look at Litecoin. You notice anything? Like, I'll clear this chart too, just to make it simple, all right? Sorry, let me clear it again. All right, let me zoom out. Is there anything here? Let me take all this part out. Does this look similar? You have this huge rounding bottom that really took place from the 2018 highs to, you know, the recent highs. And as you can see on Ethereum, once you broke your previous all-time highs from the 2018 bull run, you literally just went nuclear. All right, now if we come back to Litecoin, it is still testing its 2018 highs or 2017 December highs from the bull run. So what Ethereum did after breaking its 2018 highs is go up about 200% after breaking the 2018 highs. Litecoin is just now testing. It hasn't even broken the 2018 highs yet. It got really close to testing it and then pulled back when Bitcoin did. So if Litecoin breaks like 420 bucks, a 200% move after that would be, sheesh, like 1259, 1260. And again, I'm not telling you to buy Litecoin because of me showing this. It's just something cool that I noticed today, that Litecoin is lagging behind Ethereum by quite a bit. But if you want to use another crypto's history to try and, I'm not going to say predict, but anticipate with probability another crypto, they look very similar historically. So just keep that in mind. We'll see what happens. Obviously, Litecoin's already been going insane. So there was a much better times to be buying this. I mean, you could have bought it for like under $50 during the COVID crash. It's at 360. Next one's Chainlink. Pain. Just every time I look at this chart, it's just pain. It looks like as long as you're above 44, you're fine. 44 was your previous swing high. As long as you stay above 44, you're good. You fell under it when Bitcoin was pulling back today, but you closed your candle above it, so it didn't technically break it. Not much of a pattern or divergence, just going parabolic. Ethereum dominance. Yeah, that makes sense. When Ethereum's at 4K, it makes sense for Ethereum dominance to be going insane. But it's actually been at higher levels on the weekly, so it looks like $20 and no, like 21. No, yeah, 2050 is that first resistance from May of 2018. If you break that, then you're talking like 24 to 25 bucks. If you break that, then you're just talking like 31. So there's like the three zones. And then like support on Ethereum dominance is probably like 1731, just your previous highs from January. Clover, it's not getting a break. I mean, it had a great run. Not much hype around it right now. Eventually, it can create hidden bullish divergence on the 4 hour. It's already developing. As long as it makes a higher low than like $7. It's just you're under $9, so you need to get back over $9. That was your previous resistance. Once you broke it, you went up like 30% pretty quickly, so you need to get back above that to be more confident. Solo, it was trying to double bottom at the PCZ of a bullish Gartley almost, but it just didn't. So I never put out a trade on it just because it's Solo, but can't blame it. I mean, most things have just been not working out in terms of like the last week or so. It's just been very rough for mid caps and small caps, and even tech and large, like everything has been pretty rough the past, ever since like last, let's see, let's look at the NASDAQ. Ever since like pretty much this whole entire, like since April ended, the NASDAQ's gone straight down aside from like a little bounce on Thursday and Friday last week. You've had a pretty big pullback. It's down 4% this month. And I actually tweeted about this earlier, but if we go on the monthly, the NASDAQ has not closed the month down 4%, since September, which is right over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, for the last 7 months, you've not had a month where from the first day of the month to the last day of the month, you had a 4% close, like a red 4% month. I'm overcomplicating this. You've not had a negative 4% month in the NASDAQ in 7 months, all right? If you close the month like this, and you still have 17 days left, if you did close the month like this, it would be bad, okay? So you are hoping that the NASDAQ gets a bounce by the end of the month, because then you're gonna have your first 4% red month since September. You're going to have a tweezer top, a bearish engulfing candle, and a double top at 14,200 from your February highs and your April 29th highs. So hope that this thing bounces by the end of May, but at the same time, can you blame it for pulling back after doing this? Can you blame it? I mean, that's not even like a dent in the run it just has been having for the past few years, and especially since the COVID crash. But obviously, you typically always tend to come back down to your 200-day moving average on the monthly. Like you can see, if we just look at it historically, the 200-day moving average is that green line. You were riding it all throughout over here, riding it. Once you got really high above it, you had a big pullback. Then right before the COVID crash, you got really high above it, you had a big pullback. Right now, you've gotten really, really high above it, and there's a lot of room down just to get back to the 200-day moving average on the monthly chart. And typically the NASDAQ likes to be around the 200-day moving average on the monthly, just historically. Even if we look at the dot-com bubble, what happened? You got way above the 200-day moving average, and then you had a very, very long bear market, multi-year bear market, pretty much 2 years. And it really took a long time to recover back up to those highs. It took 15 years to get back up that high again. So just some trend analysis. Let's see how much higher it was. I mean, this is kind of hard to do, but let's just do it like this. From the highest point to the moving average, you were 32% above the 200-day moving average during the highest of the dot-com bubble. Let's see how much higher we are right now, or that we were in the beginning of the month. You were only 12%, so you have not been as far away from the 200-day moving average as the dot-com bubble, which is good, but you're still certainly higher than you typically are on the monthly. So we'll see what happens. But that was Solo. Now we have Rocket and the trade desk. Rocket, we actually had some nice like a day trade on calls last week for premium members. It was like a 30% gain in a few hours on Rocket calls. We played, which bounce was it? It was one of the, I think we played this bounce right over here. Like right after gap down, we played like these two green candles was like the options day trade. And then it just dumped again. Did it make new all-time lows? Yeah, Rocket made new all-time lows today. So you need to reclaim 1776, I'd say. I mean, really, it's not that clear. There's so many different wicks over here. Like there's 1776, there's 1829, there's 1871. Like, honestly, just to be safe, you want to just get back above 19 bucks because this whole entire range is very volatile down over here. So you need to get back above 19. Until then, I'm just not too sure. You gap down, you don't have a pattern or divergence on high time frames. The trade desk, I was looking at this earlier today. It's pretty much at the PCZ of a bullish bat. So either it bounces at the pattern completion zone or your next support is 410 from your lows in September. So bounce here, or I think maybe 410 will be tested eventually. We'll see what happens on TTD. Had a great run last year. Down 26% after earnings. That's quite a bit for a stock this large. Certainly was a weak close today, and futures are continuing that pullback. Nasdaq futures are down 1.23% S&P futures are down pretty much 0.75%. 0.74% is what they're down. When did you first get in? I don't know which ticker you're talking about, Daniel. I forgot. I missed the chat, sorry. But yeah, did I miss any tickers? ISOM, we already kind of talked about it. It broke under the support. It was failed trade. It sucks. Let me drop my tea bag in my tea. Let me just move this. Yeah, ISOM, I mean, I don't know, maybe it bounces because it's oversold, but the trade idea did not work out. I mean, it's really, really tough for stocks like this. I was giving it a shot because of how good it looked, but it just didn't work out. I mean, there's just no hype around it. Nobody wants to buy these stocks. Nobody wants to buy speculation right now. There's no speculation money like there was in January. And like I said, when I put out the trade, it's not even about this actually playing out. It's just about how beautiful it was. Just because the technicals did not work out does not mean that the technicals were not amazing. There were so many good variables on this chart, okay? And if we were in a better environment for growth stocks and small caps, this probably would have played out. I mean, it's super strong. If we were in January, I think this probably would have played out, okay? You could see what it did in January. But we're not in January. We're in May, and you can see it's been in a very bad downtrend like most other stocks in these types of sectors. And it just didn't work out. Broke the 200-day moving average, broke the double bottom support, and now there's not much support here, and you have that gap fill all the way down to $6, which is it's a while away. Probably bounce up a little bit before filling it unless some bad news comes out. But the original trade idea just didn't work. And also, not only did I want you to get education from the chart, because like I said, in a better market environment, it probably would have worked out. I also want you to understand, which is another thing you can learn from it. I know it sucks that it didn't work out, but you can always learn from things that don't work out. Here's what you can learn from this. No matter how good something looks, everything can fail. There's no certainty in technicals and trading. If there is certainty, you're probably doing something illegal. So there's no certainty. You can't know for sure. And that's why you always have to manage your risk, have a good position, and be safe. Medic 5. Let me fix my audio. Let's go. Can we get some vibes in the chat for the 119.19 donation from Medic 5? I'm going to be honest. I knew this was coming. He told me he was going to send it. But let's get some vibes in the chat for Medic 5 with the $100 plus donation. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Medic 5 is my homie since I was like 10 years old. I don't know if he wants me to say his real name, but one of my best friends. I saw him yesterday. So yeah, I was in New York yesterday and I saw him, and he told me that he was gonna give me a birthday gift, and he just decided to send it on the stream, which is awesome. So we could have all enjoyed it. So we could all enjoy it together. So thank you for the birthday gift, Medic 5. That's why it was the 119.19, because I turned 19 years old. Appreciate it. Shout out to the homie. Probably see you in a couple weeks. Well, hopefully I'll see you in a couple weeks. And yeah, we got vibes in the chat from Neutron Flux Labs, Matey, Cheddar Freeze, The Guy, Wyka, Sparrow Sun, Medic 5 himself, Scrooge, Spiderwebs, E4 Spikes, Wykas. Thank you very much, and thank you, Medic 5, for the birthday gift. Appreciate you. Yeah, I actually got Medic 5 Chainlink for his birthday last year. So I got Medic 5. I just sent him some crypto for his birthday in September. And in September last year, Chainlink was, where was it? September of 2020. Chainlink was right here. All right, so since I've sent him that Chainlink for his birthday, this thing has gone up 500%. Oh my gosh. It was, and look how good the timing was of when I sent him the Chainlink. Like literally crazy timing. So appreciate you with the birthday gift. Thank you very much. And Chainlink, we talk about it all the time. I'm not going to answer if he sold it or not. He can answer it if he wants to. I don't want to like say it. I mean, I know the answer, but I don't want to say it. But yeah, that's Trade Desk. That's iSun. Futures continuing down. Yeesh, not good. Futures it's rough. I mean, if it stays like this overnight, most stocks are probably going to be down pretty heavily at the open tomorrow, especially tech stocks, large caps. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe we'll cut out the stream around here. We've covered a lot of tickers. I covered a lot of things in the market. I definitely have some anxiety going into tomorrow just because of futures. I'm sure most stock traders do, looking at the futures right now, but it's a part of the game, you know. Oh, you want to say your name? All right, I just didn't want to say your name if you didn't want to. Yeah, Mauricio, thank you for the birthday gift. Appreciate it. And yeah, thank you all for coming out to the stream. I feel like this is a good place to close it out. Been live for about an hour and a half. So we talked about the market for like 20 minutes in the beginning of the stream. Hopefully the good scenario plays out, but it could just as easily not play out. So we'll see what happens. Right now, things are not looking good for tomorrow, but anything can change. Just getting a lot of anxiety right now with futures. I'm not that emotional with my trades. It's just like when I have trades that I put out for, you know, like what trades that I've shared with other people, that's when I get anxiety because I don't want other people. Of course, like I'm not making you get into any trades. You're choosing that yourself, but still, you know, it sucks seeing futures down this much. You know, I don't want anybody here losing money, but that's what stocks are. You make money, you lose money. As long as you do it the right way, you should be making more money than you lose, right? Just tough in these environments. So we'll see what happens. Good luck to everybody tomorrow. See what happens. All right. Have a good night. Thank you for coming out to stream. Thank you, Medic5, for the $119 donation. Appreciate it. Check out all the links in the description. And yeah, appreciate all the support. I'll be live again tomorrow at 9 p.m. EST. Hopefully the market hits the supports and it bounces. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But we're traders, so we'll work with whatever happens and we'll all make it through it. So appreciate the support. Congratulations to anybody who has puts. I mean, I'm not going to say congratulations yet. We'll see how the market opens, but future's down quite a bit. So yeah, have a great night, everybody. I mean, we still have 39 people in here. I don't know if I really want to, like, I'm good to continue streaming. I just don't know what to talk about now. That's the thing. Like, that's what I've been saying. So I said in the beginning of the stream, like, I don't know. We need to find like another segment to do on the stream. I am going to close out the stream here because I already said bye, but if you have any ideas for segments on the stream, let me know because I want to do longer streams. I just don't know what else to talk about because we've talked about so much. So if you have any ideas on how I could lengthen the streams, let me know. And yeah, we'll figure it out. See you tomorrow night. Peace out. Yeah, Medic, I'll check the I'll check that for you. I got you. Colombian peso or the US dollar to the peso. What's the I'm just gonna, what's like the ticker for that? Let me look it up. USD to Colombian peso. What's the ticker? COP? Is it USD COP? Yeah, it's that. All right. Yeah, this is the scene after credits. Looks like the peso's outperforming the US dollar. I think that's what it means because looking at the US dollar to the peso and the chart's going down. Correct me if I'm wrong. So the peso is currently doing well compared to the dollar. It kind of looks like an upsloping channel. That's how I'd probably look at it. No bearish divergence. Actually, on the 4-hour, you did have bearish divergence, but now you're showing hidden bullish divergence developing. So you're in a nice uptrend. As long as you hold the domain line of this channel, you're still going to be in an uptrend. You're above the 200-day moving average. It looks fine. You could pull back easily to just hit the demand line, but the overall trend is good. And as long as you're above 3608, that's good. That's also good because that was your support from July and September last year. So yeah, it's the dollar to the Colombian peso. There you go. Thank you for the 119 again. Yeah. Have a great night, everybody. Peace out.